It's time for the Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman Show. We'll tell you how to catch more fish and the right way to get on the fish. We'll tell you what's biting and where they're biting. So listen in because
that's where the fish are.
Call the show anytime at 866-801-0940. Share your tips and tricks with us. Now let's bait the hook, toss out the lines, and see what's biting on the Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman Show, driven by Buddy Davis Boats. Here's fishing guru Eric Brandon, along with Sun Sentinel outdoor writer Steve Waters.
Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman Show, driven by Buddy Davis Boats on the radio. Mr. Waters, good morning to you, my brother.
Morning, Mr. Brandon. How you doing?
Not too bad. Not a shabby-looking day. It's a light breeze so far. Saw a full moon coming in. Not the big fog bank we had last weekend coming to the show, which is kind of weird, but it's cleared up today. It looks great.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be windy today, but it's going to be out of the west.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to have to ask our captains when it's blowing 25 to 30 knots out of the west.
Uh-huh.
I watched the weather guys last night who were like, oh, don't even think about going boating.
Was that
8-foot seas.
Was
No.
Was that Phil? Phil?
Wasn't your favorite.
That Phil? Okay.
So, but when it's out of the west, because it's, coming across land,
yeah.
you got the buildings along the coast.
Seas laid down, man.
Usually really nice along, fishing the reef and stuff. So
yeah.
We'll have to find out.
I've seen reports this week. A couple of our captains sent me some texts last night. Sailfish bite is on, dude. Sail fishing is back, which is great.
That is correct.
That cool snap kind of brings them up and makes them snappy and happy and hungry. And, I'm a sailfish guy to a certain degree. I'll catch one, Steve, and I'm good. But you know what, man? I want dolphin. I want wahoo. I want, fish I can eat, kingfish.
You don't eat sailfish?
I have once. Actually, on one trip of mine, unfortunately, the sailfish expired, okay? And we said, don't waste the fish. We brought him back. I took him to a place to have them smoked. And I had pounds and pounds of smoked sailfish. Not too bad on a cracker. Tell you the truth. I'm serious. Smoked sailfish is not that bad to eat, man. Yeah?
Yeah. I like smoked sailfish.
Do you?
Back in the day, I used to get it when, funny thing, when captains were killing sailfish for mounts.
Yep.
So all the captains I knew in Fort Lauderdale would say, hey, you want some smoked sailfish?
You said, yeah.
Sure.
Give me all the bags you got.
Really good. Really good. Now, thank goodness, it's all catch and release.
Thank goodness for that. He's ready to go on line number one. I believe he's in Tampa at the Pulveromo Seminar Series.
Oh, the Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series. Okay.
Captain Bouncer Smith, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. And just to put in my 2 cents on that sailfish eating thing, an example of why we don't eat sailfish anymore is they used to have 3-day sailfish tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And on the first day, the fleet of boats, and back then a lot of times the fleet was 100 boats, but the first day of a sailfish tournament, the fleet would catch 100 sailfish. And the second day, the fleet would catch 50 sailfish. And the third day, the fleet would catch 6 sailfish. And it exemplified how the sailfish in a restricted area could be reduced by heavy fishing pressure in short order. And we saw it a lot of times, not as much when there was heavy north winds or something where there were a lot of fish moving through, but when the conditions were an east wind or a southeast wind where the fish weren't moving, you could definitely fish down the population by harvesting. And today, with the catch and release, the fishing is so much better. The fish have come back so much that it's really proven to be advantageous to release all you can, that's for sure. But I have to admit that I've had sailfish on the grill, and it was pretty doggone good.
Okay. All right, so preserve the sailfish, toss them back. Also, we don't like guys bringing sailfish in boats these days, Cap. We like to have them take a picture off the side of the boat. Don't bring them inside and take care of them.
Eric, they had a program in North Carolina studying white marlin. No, every fish is different, I'll grant you that, but they were studying white marlin, and they were using circle hooks, tagging them and releasing them versus J hooks. Mm-hmm. And when they went to circle hooks, for all intents and purposes, survival was 100% with satellite tags. I forget what the exact number they tagged were, but none of them died. So they won't call anything 100%, but their test, none of the sailfish died. And it was a good number. It was close to 30 fish. Then last year they were doing a study where they needed blood samples from white marlin, and they were fishing on a boat with a tuna door, and they had a mat to slide the fish in on, and they had a hose to stick in their mouth, and they were fighting the fish up to the boat on circle hooks, grabbing them by the bill and sliding them in the tuna door, not picking them up over the side, but just sliding them from water level to water level right onto the boat, putting a hose in their mouth, drawing a blood sample, putting a tag in them and letting them go. And over 30% of those fish died. So if you compare that to a guy grabbing them and lifting them up over the side of the boat, 3 guys hugging them against their shirt and throwing them back in the water, that's got to be much harder on the fish. And it really gets scary when you think that under ideal conditions, over 30% died. How many are going to die when you pull them in the boat, hug them against your chest, and take a picture and throw them back overboard? So the answer is to grab them by the bill outside the boat, bend over the side of the boat, get the cameraman back by the tail of the fish or up on the tower even. They get some really great pictures, and look up at the camera and smile with your fish there next to you in the water, and know that when you let him go, he's going to be there to catch you again next week.
All right, Cap, well, listen, we got to rock and roll here pretty soon, but give us the 1-minute wrap of what you've heard is biting this week down here in Miami, Broward County area.
Boy, I tell you what, I can't wait to get out there tomorrow. The weather tomorrow's supposed to be beautiful, and the sailfish have been pouring through, and there's been a few nice wahoo, and in closer there's been a few cobia, and the tarpon have showed up on the beach, so everything is just turned on, and I'm going fishing from noon to 8 tomorrow, targeting the sailfish in the daytime and the tarpon at night. And I think I'm going to have a ball because with this drop in the wind tomorrow, it's going to be much calmer, and the fishing's really been going off. So I'm excited to get out there and find out for myself just how much fun it can be again.
Well, get your behind back here in South Florida. Of course, call Bouncer Smith and fish on his boat anytime. 305-439-2475. Bouncer, tell George and the gang we said, hey. We'll be talking to George, by the way, at 7 o'clock this morning as our special VIP guest. Have a great morning, Cap.
You betcha. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, man. Thank you very much. Steve Waters, to Hillsboro we go. The man who's on that Papa Top, held on S Fish City Pride, always catching fish all the time. Captain Skip Dana's on the program. Skip, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're doing great, man. The weather's not too bad. I think it's almost a full blasted moon out there, so that's going to affect the fishing a little bit, huh?
Yep. I'm driving north on 95 right now. It's definitely a full moon.
Okay. So what's been happening this week, man? What's going on?
Boy, aside from yesterday being absolutely miserable in the pouring rain and 30, 40-mile-an-hour winds, it's been pretty good this whole week. The sailfish bite was excellent. A lot of dolphin around, a few kings. We catching some cobias on the drift boats, some nice snappers. But overall, really good. We're fishing the Buccaneer Cup up here yesterday and today. And yesterday was a complete washout, lots of wind, and very few fish.
Really? So the boats actually went out and fished in that nasty weather?
Oh, yeah, we fished.
See, Eric, that's why I don't fish tournaments.
Why?
Because of that. Like, hey, we paid the entry fee. We're going. I don't care how rough it is. I did that the last time.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about that.
Back in my younger days, I didn't mind getting beat up, but in my older age, I don't like getting knocked around the knees. You know what I mean? That knee knock is bad.
Yeah, I fished a nighttime swordfish tournament. It was 5 to 8 foot seas.
No.
And my friend kept saying, well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't a tournament. I would have gone in 2 hours ago. I'm like, thanks a lot.
Yeah, no thank you.
Anyway, Skip, I had a question for you. Forecast today, west winds 25 to 30. So Eric and I were saying earlier, gale warnings, all this stuff, and the weather guys were saying, don't even think about going boating. But it should be actually pretty fishable, right?
Yeah, it'll be really fishable, probably inside 200 feet. Once you get outside, if you're I wouldn't suggest going offshore, but anything inshore or sailfish on the edge should be just fine. Yeah,
because the seas are nice and calm on a west wind.
Yep, it'll be beautiful. Like I said, out to about 200 feet. Then it'll start getting a little chippy, but it won't be horrible out there.
Okay.
Yesterday it was probably 10 foot with sideways rain. You couldn't see. It was miserable.
Yeah.
Well, Skip, is the Helen S. Fish City Pride heading out today, or are they staying landlocked?
Nope, they'll be out there.
Okay.
Fishing this morning.
The big boats are going out there, Steve, with the guys on board.
So do you have a snapper report?
They've been catching a decent amount of yellowtails this week, some nice muttons, and for the first time in quite a while, a handful of cobias showed up.
Oh, very nice. Well, I do know from talking to you all these years, Skip, that sometimes when we have rough weather, rough seas, a lot of wind, that the snapper fishing's really good, like on the first or second reef.
Yeah, I expect them to catch a bunch of mutton snappers today and probably some red groupers. I'll unfortunately have to go back, but that as long as that water gets dirty and shallow, the muttons will fight like crazy.
So like 30 to 50 feet.
Yep, anywhere, even out front of Hillsborough, from the sea buoy in, you'll catch mutton snappers.
Very nice.
Now, Skip, on these mutton snappers, are you dropping the same bait you're dropping for everything else, those cigar minnows, or what are you using?
Yep, we fish whole sardines. My guys will fish whole sardines with maybe 8 or 10 foot leader, and a lot of times in that shallower water, they'll fish a half-ounce sled and like a 4 or 5 circle hook hooked in the nose and just let it out there and let it ride.
Easy way to fish, Steve. Drop down a sardine. Just wait for the line to go, taut. Lines peeling off the reel. You bring them in, and the guys on the boat, of course, help you bring the fish in. They'll gaff them for you, and they put little marks on it to make sure you know whose fish is whom. You get back to the dock, you fillet them up, and you go home a happy man.
That's it. You got dinner, right. And on a day when the weatherman says don't even think about it, it's going to be beautiful out there to fish the reef. So hopefully it'll be a beautiful day for you, Skip. You fishing with Charlie today?
No, today I'm fishing on a boat called Southern Run.
Oh, okay. Well, go catch a bunch of sailfish.
I'll be back with Charlie next weekend for the 400.
All right, Skip. So, again, guys who may want to brave going offshore, they may want to brave it, right? Get the kite up out there and maybe drop a couple of goggle eyes down, or what do you think your best shot might be?
Yeah, that's it. A couple gogs. If they don't want to go catch your pay for gogs, have them go catch some ballyhoos. They can slow troll up the edge of the reef. They'll get plenty of sailfish bites that way. And there's been a lot of dolphin around, too.
I'm thinking, Steve,
there'd be plenty of dolphin out there.
What is the cost of a goggle eye these days? Aren't they almost like, they're worth their weight in gold? I mean, aren't gogs pretty expensive to buy?
Yeah.
Roughly about $7 a piece.
Wow. $7 per bait?
Yep.
Dude, you better have some deep pockets, Steve Waters, if you're fishing with goggle eyes. You know what I'm
saying? or you better have some young friends who don't mind going out and fishing all night and catching them.
I know Trey Kloss, one of our captains, he's a big fan of catching his own bait. And he goes out at night, catches a whole slew of goggle eyes. He has this big pen behind his place. He pens them all up. He feeds them like babies, man. They feed them some kind of special fish food, I guess. And when it's time to fish, they just take them out of the pen, throw them in the boat, and off they go.
That's how we do it.
This is how we do it. All right, Skip. Well, listen, man, have a great day fishing. I hope you guys score some big ones. And if you do, please drop me a couple of texts to Steve and me, and we like to throw them on our social media pages and give you all the props you deserve, buddy boy.
All right, sounds good, guys.
All right.
Good luck, Skip.
Thank you very much. So the west wind, Steve Waters, means that fishing can be okay if you got a bigger boat.
Well, the seas will be nice. I mean, they'll be flat. So like Skip said, don't go out past 200 feet.
Right.
And so I wouldn't run, halfway to Bimini looking for dolphins. Unless you want like an e-ticket ride out there.
Exactly.
But I did have, I wanted to ask you something. You mentioned social media.
Yeah.
We have an Instagram page.
It's the Weekly Fisherman Show.
The Weekly Fisherman Show.
Invite our listeners to actually put their pictures up on the site, and we'll blast them. And we've got 2,355 followers of the show, which is great. Facebook, it's the Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman Show. You can also do that. And we'll get you up there and share your photos.
Right, and then our photos will show up on the radio station's website as well.
Absolutely true. All right, coming up this hour, Steve Waters, some pretty cool stuff here. Boat maintenance is kind of a real challenge for us guys who aren't really mechanically inclined, right? Especially me.
Yeah, you find that difficult?
I can barely even open my car door with a key. We've got Chief Mechanic over at Nautical Ventures, Rick Buckner, coming up on the program talking some stuff today about, I believe, trailers and some boat care. Also got Joe Hector with his kayak segment, talking about kayak fishing, which is the best kayak for you, and which one gets you offshore better with some tackle and stuff you got to have. And George Pulveromo coming up at 7 o'clock talking some celebrity fishing stuff that he does.
Very nice. George's got his show. He's got his seminar, so he's a busy boy this time of year.
Is the coffee pot going, man? I didn't see the coffee being made on the way in. Did we make any coffee yet?
I saw a pot with coffee in it.
Yeah, it was probably like 3 days ago. I'm not sure I want to try that. Let's go make some fresh coffee. Take a little break. More Captains coming up right here on the Nautical Adventures Weekly Fisherman, driven by Buddy Davis Boats on 940 Wins Miami Sports.
Got a question for the captains? Call the show now at 866-801-0940 and get hooked up.
We tried to contact them several times by radio, but they didn't answer.
Now, back to the Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman Show, driven by Buddy Davis Boats, with Eric Brandon and Steve Waters.
Good morning, fishermen. We are so happy to be here on 940 Wins Miami Sports. Steve Waters. These people treat us so nice right here, man. You know, they got coffee going on. The equipment actually works.
Everybody's smiling, happy. It's amazing. There's no trash. No leftover pizza.
We got a guy here, Chicago Mike, man, behind the wall over here. He's the main guy he's really the brains of the operation. We just yak. But he's over here running things, man. He's recording things, got things going on.
Calling our captains.
Only thing he's not done yet is get on a boat and fish. We got to break that habit and get him on the boat with Defoe and a couple other guys here and to get him out there and watch him catch fish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, today would be a perfect day because it's going to be as flat as this table.
Yes, it is. What other bass fishing has been going this week? The one, the only, the great Alan Zaremba. What's up there, Big Z?
Well, good morning, guys.
Hey, good morning.
Morning, Alan. How's it going with this cooler weather? You still catching those peacocks on jerk baits?
Yeah, that worked pretty good earlier in the week, and then actually I did not go out yesterday with that work we had. Plus, I had a lot of other things I needed to do, which I worked on. Speaking, I had to get a trailer fixed, had to get a motor worked on a little bit, and just normal stuff. But what I found was the day before that I was out along Chrome Avenue and had actually a very good topwater bite for peacocks, and they were actually turned on quite good. And the more aggressive you worked it, the more they come up slamming at it. So it was kind of fun, a fun bite there. I'm not going to say we killed them or crushed them, but we both I had 2 morning trips and or 1 morning trip and 1 afternoon trip, I should say, and both of them got a pretty darn good amount of fish. Each one got about 10 to 12 peacocks along with some largemouths, and all on top water, which was fun.
Yeah, anytime you can catch them on top water, Eric, I'd say like 1 on top water's worth 5 on a plastic something.
Oh, top water's a blast. Yeah, that's a real challenge. Yeah.
What's your favorite top water, Alan? Or
well,
what was
it was a baby torpedo, which I've been using for many years, and we had a little bit of a chop on the water, nothing real bad, but just enough to where that bait seems to always work a lot better. I love a little chop, just a little ripple on the water. That way it doesn't, it's like the fish don't have time to see it or make it out and they come up slamming it. And heck, we had some fish actually come out of the water hitting at it, which is what makes peacocks pretty exciting and that bit. But it's interesting, and it's going to be very interesting to see what goes on during the course of this week because of the weather we've had move in. It's going to be quite cold, I guess, tomorrow morning and the morning after in the 40s. That's way below freezing for me.
Yeah, it is pretty nippy, Steve Waters.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the water temperature won't drop below 60 because once it gets below 60, peacocks die.
They don't like it. It finishes them off. But I don't suspect that's going to really happen. Maybe in the northern fringe areas and way out to the west. But I'm still finding them out way west on Alligator Alley. I've been finding them down along Tamiami Trail and all the way up to Lake Worth and parts above even. Now, this might affect some of those fish way up to the north, but that's just the way it goes, and it's not the end of the world. We still have plenty of them here in the canals, further south. So it's still going to be fine.
Alan, how about the average bass guy who may be kind of new to the sport and he's got a lake behind his house? Is there a couple of tried and true lures he should start out as a first time bass guy, like maybe a black worm, or what's their tackle choice?
Are you talking about yourself again?
Ain't talking about yourself again? No, I ain't talking about me, Zarem. Don't take a pot shot already, bro. Come on, it's too early for that, man. Come on, be nice.
Oh,
be nice.
I don't know if that's in me, but anyhow, no. If you're a beginner, there's a lot of things, a lot of little things that make the difference between catching a fish and not catching a fish. And as far as a sure lure that's going to catch fish, you can always go with some sort of minnow bait.
Okay.
Which is when I say that, it could be I hate to say this one, an original floating Rapala. They still work.
Mm-hmm.
But the other baits are like the Bagley minnow, and then some suspending baits. Those are things you can cast and retrieve, and in all honesty, you can still catch fish. You don't have to be Joe Pro. Just keep it moving a little bit, twitch it a little bit. And that's going to catch you some fish. It's going to come down to what kind of line you're using at that point. And if you're a novice just starting out, my suggestion is you do hire somebody. And I'm not saying myself. It could be a number of people that do this to help you out just so you can get some basics down.
All right. So, see, Steve, we got guys maybe first-time bass fishermen. Alan just told them what to use as basic tackle, and let's don't assume these guys know how to bass fish. I mean, a lot of guys are out there listening to us and have never thrown a line out.
Sure. And one of the things I would add is if you are using a minnow-type bait with like 2 or 3 sets of treble hooks, make sure you bring pliers with you to get the hooks out of the fish's mouth safely.
Or like me, out of my finger.
Or get it out of Eric's hand.
Okay.
Sure. Well, you can always call me for that, Eric. I'll gladly help you get it out of your finger.
I'm sure you'd like to take off a digit, Alan. Thank you so much, buddy. Okay, so have a fine day. Catch some fish, man. We'll talk next weekend, okay?
Yes, sir. Good talking to you.
All right, you too, buddy boy. Holding on line number 2, Steve Waters, a good friend, Tony DeJulian. See what he's been catching this week. Tony, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Steve. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing good.
We're good, man.
I got to say, it's a little chilly here at the station. How's it going to be out on the water, do you think?
I don't think it's going to be too bad. I think it's going to be a low of around 58 or so. Might be a little chillier tomorrow. It's a little windy today, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, we talked about that on our first segment. The wind's out of the west, so it should be nice and calm, where the sailfish and the snappers are.
Absolutely. That's one of the things. When it blows hard, a lot of people, they think it's just going to be rough, but the direction of the wind has a lot to do with it, and a west wind usually means it's going to be calm close to the beach.
So you can run without any fear, no matter the gale warnings and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
When they issue those, Eric, that's like way out in the Gulf Stream.
You know my opinion about TV weather forecasters, Steve Waters. Don't get me started, okay?
Okay. So
they made me cancel many a trip because they had the forecast all wrong.
Until you figured out how wind direction, what role it plays.
Exactly.
So, Tony, I know you were catching sailfish earlier in the week. You think this cold weather will make it even better?
Well, we've actually had some great sail fishing. We had a pretty decent day on Wednesday. We were only out for a half a day. We went 3 for 5. The day before that, some friends of mine on the Sandman were 17 for 22. And so the fishing has been good, and we're counting on this front coming through to make it even better. And we're looking forward to a very good week coming up here in the next several days.
Yeah, so this cold weather, and I'm sure if you watched the news at all, you saw the snow.
Oh, my gosh. Brutal up north,
the East Coast. So that'll actually push sailfish down to us, won't it?
Absolutely. Push the bait down, and the sailfish come right down following them. And cold fronts always mean good fishing right afterwards. Hopefully it won't be too rough in the beginning of the week, but it looks like it's going to be a really good week ahead here for sail fishing especially.
Tony, what's your favorite tackle, terminal tackle for catching sailfish? Name your favorite rod, reel, and combination for that.
Oh, well, I like about a kite fishing. I like almost a 7-foot rod. There's a lot of good rods out there. There's a lot of really good rod builders in South Florida. A lot of people don't realize you can get a custom rod built for almost the same price as a higher-end, off-the-shelf factory-built rod. So that's one thing I like.
Yep.
I love Shimano products. I'm kind of all over the place. I like Avet reels. I like the Shimano products. And for the beginner, you really can't beat the TLD 25s in that line of Shimano products because they're relatively inexpensive and they'll last forever, and you really can't beat them up. When you get into the professional level, we're all about real high retrieval rate reels and really smooth drags, but those reels can get up into the $600-700 a piece category. So, when you're starting out or you're not fishing all the time professionally, those TLD series reels are hard to beat. One of the things I would say is a mistake people make is they put too heavy a line on their reels. They'll take a TLD 25 or something in that category, and they'll put 30-pound test line on. Be sure you go with 20-pound test. It's really that the pound test on the spool of line is the manufacturer's stated pound test. And actually, unless it's tournament line that's guaranteed to break at its stated number, that line actually is going to break much higher than what it states. So 20-pound test will break closer to 30-pound than you realize. And the diameter of the 20-pound test is thinner. Therefore, when you're fishing live bait especially, the live bait has a much easier time swimming around with the lighter line. It's not as much drag on the bait. So the presentation tends to be much better. And then also when you're kite fishing 20-pound test out of the kite, the line isn't affected by the wind as much. So it's easier to keep your baits in the water and let them swim the way they're supposed to swim so that they attract the sailfish.
Tony, I'll tell you, man, you ask you a question, and you get the answer you need, man, top to bottom, rod, reel, combos, whatever else, Seawaters. Good stuff here.
Yeah, excellent tips about using 20-pound line, Tony.
There you go.
That'll definitely help our listeners catch more
fish. Tony, we got to rock, man, but have a great weekend, good day, and catch them up, my friend, okay?
All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week, and have a fantastic weekend.
You got it. Steve Waters, I can't think of a finer boat, my friend, to take out of the water like today than a Century boat. We have them at Nautical Ventures. We have all kinds of sizes, 22, 23, and on up we go.
Sure.
Happen to focus on the 23 this morning. I kind of like that boat. That's kind of the boat that I'd like to trailer. It's kind of an easy trailering boat. It does most things you want. Got that big, deep V. You've got the fantastic live well. Cushions in front for those who like to, be comfortable. You've got the rocket launcher seat for the guys who are driving the boat, obviously. You got rod holders behind you. And you've been inside the Century boats. I mean, what a great machine that is,
Yeah, well laid out, and I know they're built well, and they ride really nicely.
I mean, when you're building boats for over 90 years, you got to have something you've done right, and they're doing it doggone right, man, you know what I mean? And at the boat show, we did really well on the Century boats. I encourage folks to come by and see us at 50 South Bride Road, Dania Beach. Of course, our North Palm Beach store as well, but primarily come by and see us. Get on the boat. Look at it, man. Open the hatches up, Open up the drawers. We got tackle storage inside. All kinds of amenities for you. Plenty of places to store your stuff. Great smooth ride. Power just perfectly. And I think what you get on a Century, that'll be the boat you have for a long, long time.
Yeah, and you'll even take people on a test ride, won't you?
Well, I'd be more than glad to. Show me that check. I'll be glad to take it for trips. No, man, try before you buy, of course, and never a dealer fee. 50 South Bride Road, Dania Beach. Come by and check out our Century boats if you would. Now, what's up with boat maintenance, man? What's the cure for that problem for guys who can't fix stuff? Well, the answer is Rick Buckner, head maintenance man at Nautical Ventures.
Okay, coming up.
Shop Talk next right here at 940 Wins Miami Sports.
Need to get on the water, but your boat needs a little TLC? Then tune into our Shop Talk segment with Nautical Ventures Chief Mechanic Rick Buckner. Email Rick your questions in advance at rickb@nauticalventures.com, and we'll answer them live on the air. Now back to the Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman Show, driven by Buddy Davis Boats, with Eric Brandon and Steve Waters.
You just make yourself right at home and stay as long as you want to.
Stay at home, stay as long as you want there, Steve Waters. Good morning to you, fishermen. We are our second show here at 940 Wins Miami Sports. Glad to be here and having a great show so far. Captains are catching fish. Now we're doing Shop Talk with Chief Mechanic Rick Buckner at Nautical Ventures, a man who knows how to fix anything, everything, any way he can do it. He's that great.
That's awesome.
Rick, good morning to you, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, man. How you doing this morning?
We're doing great, Rick. See you every day at the lot at Nautical Ventures. You're out there getting guys very happy with boat repairs. But we're switching topics off of the engines today, Rick. And you and I talked this week about what we should talk about today. And trailers seem to be very neglected these days. I mean, for example, if I get a brand new boat and I've got a brand new trailer and I'm using it, don't ignore it, right, Rick? What's the main thing there, buddy?
Well, hold on a second. I want to back this up a second. I hear you like that 23 Century center console.
I do.
That on the radio.
Yeah, yes, I do.
Listen,
I do.
I know the sales manager over there very well. I think we should get you set up in one. Steve, what do you think?
Absolutely. He's
talking so well about that boat. I think we need to get Eric to sign the papers and take over that 23 on our lot.
Hey, they can deduct it out of my paycheck, man. I'd be fine, right?
Right, and then Rick can show you how to maintain your brand new trailer.
Hi, Rick.
All right. On a serious note here, yes. Biggest thing is purchasing that boat, and what we've been seeing lately, especially it's been disturbing. We saw 2 boats that come off the road that have galvanized trailers, and one boat came from Panama City, Florida. Mm-hmm. How it made it here, we don't know. Unhooked it from the guy's truck, and the tongue completely snapped off.
The tongue snapped off?
Snapped off. That's kind of disturbing because that was a 33-foot pro line that came trailing down the highway. The outside of the trailer didn't look bad, but guy pulled in, took it off. It wasn't, 20 minutes later, we picked it up, and the whole tongue just broke right off.
That's a bad day, Steve Waters, yeah.
Oh, my God. It's bad. You might being on the highway and that thing coming off in someone's family. But people that have these boats need to really take more consideration with their trailers and either find a local trailer facility or bring it to us, and then we can inspect it and get it fixed for them.
Now, trailers, Steve, you got bearing buddies, which, of course, keep the bearings greased as the tires are rolling along, right? You've got springs on the trailer. So, Rick, maintenance on the trailer is basically what? Making sure hose it down?
When you take the trailer out of the water, like you wash your boat, people take the care in cleaning their vessel and washing it down. You need to do the same thing with trailers. Basically, use a salt-away product to clean off the salt off the trailer, wash it and scrub it with soap and water, hit the wheels down in the brake system with it. Then probably come back with a corrosion inhibitor and hit all the bolts and the moving parts on the trailer to keep it from rusting up.
How often do you check the grease in the bearing buddies, Rick?
Depends on the usage. If you're just an average boater that's going from boat ramp to the house and you're within about a 4 mile, you probably check it every 3 months. But if you're going over the highway, like from here to the Keys, and you're doing the tournaments and going across state, I would do it on a weekly basis, also with checking the lug nuts.
Okay. Can we switch gears for a second, Steve?
Sure.
Let's talk about the boat that I want to buy. Say I bought that Century boat, okay? And I want to take care of it, Rick. Now, a lot of guys are using the wrong products to clean their boats. What do you recommend to clean the boat and not screw up the gel coat and make things all goofy?
Well, there's a lot of different products out there. A lot of local warehouses carry every product from A to Z for any particular thing. I am actually fond of the Starbright products.
Oh, yeah.
They have a good product. I've been using it for many years, and it really keeps a nice sheen on the gel coat and the vinyl. What you don't want to use is a common or a soft scrub, something abrasive. A lot of people, the first thing you want to do is, because soft scrub at home, you use it on the floors. It's good on the deck of the boat, but once it starts getting on the fiberglass, it starts wearing down the gel coat and the finish on it, and then you start having a dull boat after another year.
So the wrong product, Steve Waters, on the gel coat, if you do that quite often, that shine goes way, way away, dude.
Yeah,
right?
that's interesting, because you think you're doing the right thing, but you're actually hurting the boat.
Exactly.
Kind of like washing your face with acid or something.
That's a bad day, Steve.
Like, Mo, look at my skin. It's so smooth.
All right. Hey, Rick, I'm thinking about something. The audience is very engaged on this show, and I bet they'd like to have some hands-on stuff. I think you and I talked this week about maybe possibly putting together a workshop at Nautical Ventures. Talk about that.
All right. We kick this idea around. We have this thing called Demo Day, and you know how much this is a real thorn in our butt on a Friday afternoon after a busy week in weather, and you guys want that fiberglass in the water for your demo days, which is really good because how many other companies actually have this out there? I've never seen another company do this. It's really cool. You're able to go out and test the boat, hamburgers, hot dogs, and sodas.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing is boat maintenance. And always the question is when customers come into our shop because they don't want to spend the big money is, Rick, how do I just change the oil so I don't have to spend, $1 quadrillion with you? Well, I think what we're going to do is we want some feedback from the public is we want to hold a shop during Demo Day where people can come in, a class of 10 people.
Okay.
And we'll have one of our techs certified in Yamaha in one month and Mercury. And if customers have a certain thing they want to learn, be more happy to do it, like installation of VHFs. But we want to have a class of no more than 10 people.
Okay.
And teach them how to do basic service on their boat, or maybe a simple installation like changing a bilge pump out, doing it the correct way.
What a cool idea, Steve Waters. Have a workshop on Demo Day. Rick Buckner will have his guys out there all set to teach them. You can actually probably touch the motor, change a plug. I think Rick, change lower unit to oil as well?
Yep. change oils. They'll be able to touch the tools, know how, and if you have any questions, that way they can see the ins and outs of the basic stuff to keep them moving on the water.
All right, so to do this, I would suggest they probably drop you an email, Rick, to get on board.
Yep, send me an email to rickb@nauticalventures.com, or they can call me at 954-926-5250. They can ask for myself, or they can ask for Lori McCrell. She's my assistant.
Okay.
The only reason why, because you know me, Eric, Lori is very hard on me. She makes sure I get back to emails and phone calls.
She keeps you in line, dude, let me tell you. That's for sure.
Yes, she does. Without Lori, I don't know what I would do.
Rick, you're fantastic. I love this segment called Shop Talk. Hopefully some guys will email you. We'll have that class and do some hands-on stuff together.
Sounds good, and I'll get that 23 set up for you.
Okay, I'll have my checkbook handy when I get to work at 10 o'clock, okay? Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick. Have a good day, buddy, okay? Thanks so much. All right. Let's go back to some fish talk, Steve Waters. We've got our good friend Dennis Forgione on the program. Dennis has been fishing a long time. You know Dennis, many moons, right?
Yeah, I used to fish with him way back when.
Out of the Hallover area?
Hallover Marina, yeah. But then he got kind of too big for me. And
Oh, stop it.
No, it's the other way around.
Yeah, you got too big for him, Steve Waters. Hot shot rider you are.
I just started to think he was just stuck up.
Well, listen, Dennis, you've had a couple of crazy stories, man. I think lightning is not your friend.
I have a lot of crazy stories. That's what happens when you're guiding your whole life. You know, it's interesting. I've been listening to the show all morning, and everybody's bringing up the topic of the weather forecast. And there's two questions that are asked the most of a fishing guide, or at least me anyway.
Right.
Is a day or so, or confirming the trip, it's how's the weather going to be? And my answer is show up at the dock, and if it has a name or if it's too nasty to go, we'll let you buy us breakfast. Because I would drive myself nuts when I was younger listening to weather forecasts, just like I think, Eric, you said earlier about how many trips you didn't go on.
That's right.
And you should have gone on.
That's right.
And you didn't.
That's
and
right.
the second most asked question is usually upon boarding for the trip is, what are we going to catch, Cap? And my answer for that is nothing. That way, I can only go up from there.
I'm not sure I go on a boat with the captain when he says I'm catching nothing, Dennis. I mean, that's not my favorite come on line, man. No.
Oh yeah, I don't want to. If I don't give any expectations, it usually works out good. If I give them a list of fish, then I got an answer to it.
All right.
And then that weather excuse comes into play.
I got you. Well, talk about some fishing news. What's been snapping around the Hallover area these past couple of days?
Well, I've been fishing sporadically. Not that I'm out of touch with it, but just around Thanksgiving or the weekend after Thanksgiving, my boat got hit by lightning.
Wow!
Which is the third time I've been hit by lightning. The fourth time if you count my house. But and there was a subsequent electrical fire, and then it got to be where it had to go to the boatyard. So hopefully we'll get it all wrapped up this week, but we've been replacing wires and all the electrical stuff that goes along with lightning strikes. And the problem with lightning strikes is if you don't replace everything, damage can occur 6 months, a year later. So you got to cover, and you don't want to fire. Well, you don't want to fire at all, but especially when you're out there on a trip or in the ocean, where you can't just jump off the boat and get in your truck and leave.
Right. Well, you have been doing some fishing, right? You've got somebody else's boat you've been on,
yeah. So I was using somebody else's boat to run some trips, and in between, trying to wrap up our boat. But I tell you, I mean, it's been a long time since I can remember that we've had consistent cold weather. For 2 weeks now? It's been cool almost every day. It's a fisherman's dream in South Florida anyway to get consistent cold weather like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because the days that I was fishing, northwest winds and cold weather really. I like the kind of condition this time. Well, it would be this time of year if you had that. But I'd be fishing close to shore because we catch Spanish mackerel and kingfish up to and over 40 pounds in 25 to 40 feet of water. So, and any wind out of the northwest is not going to affect the seas too much. I mean, then there's why I don't listen to the weather forecast, because what they say means, it may be like that 20 miles offshore, but not, close to the beach. Right.
Well, that's what the guy I heard last night was saying. Don't even think about going boating. And I'm thinking west wind, no problem.
And that's and that justifies why I never listen. But unfortunately, a lot of people do, and it affects our business a lot of times because there's a lot of days where it's the forecast, because it could be blowing 35 knots out of the northwest, west, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually rougher in the bay.
Okay.
Right.
Well, Dennis, we got to take a little break here, man. But to get on your boat and fish, you're at 305-582-5445?
You have a very good memory for a man of your age.
Okay.
And
I'll take all the shots you can give me. All right, that's fine, Dennis.
I didn't mean that in a bad way.
Okay. Dennis, stay away from...
Always a pleasure, guys.
You too, man. Stay away from lightning bolts, man. It's not good to you, okay? Please. Duck and hide.
All
right, thank you very much. Steve Waters, take a little break. We have a big 7 o'clock hour coming up. We have our special guest, George Polveromo, talking about his NBC television program, George Polveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing, and a whole lot more coming up. And this coffee, by the way, who made the coffee?
I don't know, but it's great.
Boy, it is good stuff.
And it's warm.
640, 8940 wins Miami Sports. Be right back to you.
Shut off that engine.
You're listening to the Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman Show with Eric Brandon and Steve Waters. Anything you need to know about fishing or boats, call 866-801-0940. They've got everything you need.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Now, back to the Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman Show, driven by Buddy Davis Boats.
Talking fish smack on a Saturday morning. Steve Waters, always great talking fishing, man. 10 years and going strong on a brand new radio station. Glad to be here at 940 Wins Miami Sports.
This is where the water fishing show should be.
Remind me next time to hit the right button. Once in a while, I hit mic 3. I had you cut off for like 1 second. Okay, you want to run the board? You can do it, man.
Sure.
Okay.
All I know is there's one button that's supposed to be on. Don't touch anything else.
Okay,
right?
Fine. Okay. Get these guys caught up on the fishing forecast today. I know the weather forecasters on the tube had it all wrong last night, so don't be afraid.
Well, it's going to be windy,
afraid.
but the wind's going to be out of the west-northwest, which means seas close to shore, going to be very calm.
Mm-hmm.
So Captain Skip Dana said you could probably go out to 200 feet, and it'll be nice and flat. Captain Dennis Forgione said the roughest seas you'll find would be in Biscayne Bay or in the Intracoastal as you head out the inlet. So anyway, seas will be calm. And there's plenty of sailfish around.
Mm-hmm.
It's been great. There'll be plenty of wind to get your fishing kite up. And then there's also should be some Spanish mackerel, kingfish, not all that deep, and snappers, mutton snappers, yellowtail snappers should be on like the second reef, so 30 to 50 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just go out to like 120, 150 and set a nice drift and catch all kinds of fish on your live baits, and be sure to put a bait down on the bottom for those snappers.
And again, if you want to have a really cheap trip, jump on one of our captain's party boats, the fish boats. $40 on the Helen S. Fish City Pride. They have all the bait, the tackle, drop on down, catch a fish, and be on a nice big boat, which is great.
Right. And they'll even clean the fish for you.
They will definitely clean the fish for you. And again, if you want to be a bass guy, I think Alan Zaremba mentioned this morning that bass, with this cool front coming through, have actually got turned on big time.
Yeah, it's a funny thing because you say, well, peacock bass, they're kind of a Central American, South American fish. They like hot weather, or certainly hot weather doesn't bother them. But when it gets cold, they'll tend to school up, and then you can, fire out what Alan's been doing, topwater lures, jerk baits, hard jerk baits.
Mm-hmm.
And the faster you fish them, the more the peacocks like them.
Gotcha.
And then in the process, he's catching largemouth bass as well. So,
let me ask you a question, Steve Waters. You've been covering outdoors and water stuff for, 25, 30 years, whatever it's been?
Yep.
If I were to ask you what your favorite kind of fish technique would be, or what favorite fish to catch, nail it down, man. What is your fave?
My favorite fish to catch?
Yeah, tell the audience what's your favorite fish to catch. I know what mine is.
Sure. I probably tuna, blackfin tuna.
Blackfin tuna?
Because I love to eat tuna. I'm
Okay.
like you. I love fish that I can eat.
I like tuna, but my favorite fish, of course, of all time, mahi-mahi, baby. That's my fish.
You mean dolphin?
I mean dolphin, yeah, well, mahi, yeah, or dorado, whatever you want to call them, okay? They catch these down in the Keys, Steve Waters, quite often, do they not?
They do.
Down in, like, Isla Morada area?
Absolutely.
Of course. Richard Stanzik, Bud and Mary's man. Richard, welcome back to the program, my friend. How are you?
Eric, Steve, good morning, and congratulations on the new show.
We are happy to be here and happy you're back.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we were sorry we couldn't get you on last week, but we had another guy from Isla Morada come on the show a Coach Jimmy Johnson?
I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah, well, he took up all your time, so...
Wait a second. I know. He's the guy that does the ads.
Yeah, he's the man.
The guy who knows more about football than anybody.
That's for sure.
Best Dolphins coach in recent history, that's for sure.
He was great. Rich, talk about some fish this week in Islamorada. What's been happening?
All right, I'll tell you, before I go to the fish, I'll go to the weather, and unfortunately, I got bad news there. It's blowing really hard. The water's really cold, and it's dirty to boot. However, the good news is the winds are fading. The sun's going to come out. And because the water's cold, the sediment's going to drop out, and we're going to get some good conditions by tomorrow. Offshore this week, sailfish has pretty much been the big thing. Had a big tournament, the Alameda Fishing Club tournament. What's happened? That cold water has finally pushed those ballyhoo out to the edge. The fish are starting to bite, and they're holding, and we had some great catches. A lot of boats catching 7-8 fish per boat, and that's a real good thing to see.
Ooh.
Also during the week, and it's been on and off with this weather, but we did have some real good weather in the middle of the week. Had a really good kingfish bite, about 90 to 135 feet of water, using the live bait, mainly cigar minnows. Mixed in with those kingfish, also a handful of wahoos. My son Nick caught a nice 40-pounder, on mono leader, by the way, fishing for sailfish, very unusual. And also this week with the calm, clear conditions, the boats hit the cobias. First time I've seen them this year. 4 big schools were found. Lots of boats caught fish, up to 60 pounds. Really a good thing to see. That condition will return also for the cobias. On the reef, Miss Alamrada, been struggling on and off with the weather, water conditions, what have you. Yellowtail fishing's just been fair. What they do, they move out a little deeper, 120 feet of water. Live shrimp will help you. They're doing a lot of what we call kind of dropping to the bottom with a chicken rig, catching some really nice big lane snappers on the structure, and a lot of porgies mixed in with those. So they're bending the rods. Even had a big school of big Prevel jacks come through. They had a dozen of them hooked up at one time. What chaos. These are 10 to 15 pounds. Not good to eat, but they'll beat you up into the tourist. It's a great thing. Backcountry conditions, the water's really cold, the wind's really blowing. The guys that really know the deal back there took advantage of it early in the week. My son, Captain Rick Stanzik, he went out. What happens? The fish move into the deep water, and they lay up down there. Hard to believe these numbers. If I didn't know Ricky as well, he doesn't exaggerate. He actually released 60 snook one day on live shrimp. I had a good day with him the week before, but this was a phenomenon. They're not everywhere. They're spread out. It's going to be tough. You got to know what's going on, and they don't stay there for long. Actually, also quite a few redfish mixed in, and some really big black drums caught in the deep water. So overall, looking for a really positive weather change, and I think you're going to see some good fishing right up starting as early as tomorrow down here.
Richard, tell the audience we have some brand new guys checking out the program. You run an operation called Bud and Mary's, the iconic Bud and Mary's in Islamorada. You've got lots and lots of captains there. You've got, accommodations and the whole thing, right?
Actually, we do. We've been there a long time, since 1944. I've actually been there myself now, going on 39 years. And, we got 47 captains, backcountry, offshore, party boats, accommodations. We have dockage should you need it. Our tackle store is open, almost 24 hours a day now. Have a nice dive shop. I probably left something out, but a restaurant. But anyway, right there, mile marker 79. Stop in, say hello. I'm usually there early in the morning and late in the afternoons. When they let me out, I'm out fishing. So one or the other.
Well, give us one last wrap. You had a bad experience with your boat when that storm that came through the Bahamas months and months ago. What's the status on the Catch-22?
Yeah, we were caught in Joaquin. Pretty well tore the boat up. She's been up there. I guess it's Pipe Welders Marina up there. And actually, the word is, after 3 months, they've almost got Humpty Dumpty back together.
Nice.
So we're hoping it'll be back here by mid-February.
Well, Richard, have a fine weekend. We'll see you at Bud and Mary's. We need to fish with you. It's been too long, Steve Waters, way too long since I've been on Richard's boat.
That's right. Well, Richard's been waiting for this cold weather to bring the fish down, so now's the time to visit.
Let's get our butts on that boat and go fishing, man. Thank you, Richard, so much, okay?
Okay, guys, thank you so much for calling and allowing me to put the word out on the fabulous Florida Keys fishing scene.
You got it. Steve Waters, back when I had my boat back in the day, pulling up to the gas station was always really kind of a weird situation.
Really?
Well, you had cars around you, right? You're trying to go around the corner to bring the boat to the gas pump, and, you got to watch out not hitting these things.
Sure.
Okay? So there's a company called Luke Fuel, and we talked about them last weekend, and I'm just blown away by what they do, okay? They will bring diesel or gas fuel anywhere you are and bring it right to your house, your dock, your storage area, and fill you up, man.
Really? But how they get it into the boat?
Well, they've got these long hoses that come from the truck tank, right?
Yeah.
And, 50, 100 feet, whatever, 200 feet of hose.
Oh, so they can go right to the dock.
Dude, they just take that hose, man, and just roll it out. And
cool.
The professional guys will get on your boat, of course, never make a mess. They fill your boat up with gas. You save money from not buying it at the marina, which is always a couple of bucks more or whatever. And you go on your merry way. I mean, you can't find any more convenience than that. I'm serious.
Yeah, no, you talked about the headaches. One of my buddies, we came back from a duck hunt, goes to put gas in the boat.
Uh-huh.
And so first we got to find a pump.
Of course.
He can pull in.
Okay,
he pulls in, so now he's filling the boat.
Right.
So his vehicle's forward. Here comes a Pepsi 18-wheeler.
Oh, great.
And he's like, I just better get out of his way. So, had to make another loop around the gas pumps.
Yeah, well, all that headache stuff is all gone, man. Luke Fuel will come to you again. The minimum amount for gas would be 100 gallons, which most boats in that range carry 100 gallons of gas.
Oh, easily, any center console pretty much.
And 200 for diesel. Call these guys. Jot the number down. Keep it handy. Next time you need gas, call Luke Fuel, please. 305-432-3487. 305-432-3487. It's Luke Fuel, and they deliver to you. Take a break, Steve Waters. We have a special guest coming up next. Our good friend George Poveromo talking some fishing adventures he's had for the television show. He fishes the Keys all over the planet.
Yeah, and he's got the seminar a week from today in Tavernier. So
yeah, he does.
Talk about that, too.
We'll talk about that more. 7:03 and 9:40 wins Miami Sports.
Welcome back to the Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman Show, the radio show that's put on by fishermen for fishermen and all about catching fish.
Never did see so much activity.
Call the show anytime at 866-801-0940. We want to hear from you.
If you think you're nervous now, wait till you're on the air.
And here to hook you up with local captains and crew so you can reel in more than bragging rights is waterman Eric Brandon.
I can't function without my coffee.
And Sun Sentinel fishing writer Steve Waters.
Coffee is ready, sir.
Now, back to the Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman Show, driven by Buddy Davis Boats.
The very funny stuff from Joe Johnson, our imaging guy. I love his stuff there. Does good work.
Terrific. I love it.
Good work. This guy does great work. Steve Waters, known this man for a whole long time, a good friend, also a big-time, I call him a star, man, in the fishing business. This guy's he's way up there.
Yes.
He's a star in his own right.
That's right.
George Poveromo from George Poveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing, plus a seminar he's doing around the country. George, good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good morning. Eric, Steve, how's everyone?
Everybody's doing great. And you are in, Tampa today?
Yeah, actually Tampa, and excited that this actually was able to drive to this one instead of flying somewhere. So it's always good when you drive.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Now, a week from today, George, you're going to be in Tavernier for the big national seminar series. Where's that going to be exactly?
It's going to be at the Coral Shores High School Performing Arts Theater, where we've held it the last 3 years. And we're coming back there, and that's turning into a monster of a show. They've already pre-sold a little over 350 tickets so far for that one. So that's going to be a monster by the time our show day rolls around.
Oh, so great. Those seminars, Steve Waters, $55. You get so much information in a couple hours, and you get some goodie bags when you walk in. And you just learn so doggone much of these seminars. Amazing.
Yeah, tons of information. And what I like, or I love to see the people there. George will pull a number, call a name, and next thing you know, some guy's walking away with a pair of sunglasses, brand new rod and reel.
Love the raffles, yeah.
You really treat your the showgoers very well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The door prizes are just, historic with the seminar series. And you probably didn't hear me say that, but, Islamorada or anytime we're in that near South Florida area, which I consider like a hometown show, we sort of come up with a few extra door prizes to even award down there. Now, I'm not saying I sort of tax the other cities, but I'm just saying we have more door prizes for Islamorada and the hometown shows.
Takes care of the homies, Steve Waters. I like that.
Well, he can fit a lot more into his vehicle than he can on a plane.
Very true.
I think that's the reason why. So, George, if you wanted to get tickets, what's the best way to do it at this point?
Best way, you can do it two ways. The website, nationalseminarseries.com, Again, that's nationalseminarseries.com. You can see all about the seminars. You can order online. And, of course, there's the 800 number, which is 1-800-448-7360, 800-448-7360.
George, let's talk about your TV show, George Poveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing on NBC Sports. I caught your show last week. You were fishing with George Clark Jr., and I saw a promo. Are you using live lobsters for Cubera snapper fishing soon?
That's our episode starting here beginning on Monday in NBC Sports. Kevin Jeffries out of Key Largo, we ran out and did an episode on catching Cubera snappers, which is a long-standing South Florida tradition that goes way back. And, you're out there at night off Key Largo fishing on or near a wreck, and you're dropping down live lobsters for bait to catch these, big monster Cubera snappers. And wait till they see this show. What a treat that is.
Now, George, of course, when you finish with that fishing, if you don't really catch fish, you take those lobsters back to the dock, and you can have those for din-din.
Yeah, unlike worms and shiners and all that stuff, this is definitely a bait that's just about probably better to eat than the Cubera snapper. And when everything's all said and done and you're back home and you throw your bait on the grill and have some melted butter and have a good time with it.
Okay. George, you got to roll, but again, for folks that follow you on Facebook, it's George Poveromo, I believe.
Facebook. It's facebook.com/George.Poveromo. That takes you into my TV Facebook page.
All right, George. Hey, man, we'll look for that show on TV. I love every show you do. And I also like that voice guy you have introducing your show, that Eric Brandon dude.
That guy's been around dating back to the days of Abe Lincoln, I think.
Okay. Thank you, George. We got to rock, man. Have a fine weekend, okay?
Thanks, guys.
All right, Steve Waters. Let's get a quick shot from Chris Lemieux, our good friend on the show for many, many years. See what he's been catching this week.
See how things are in Boynton Beach. Good morning, Captain Chris. How's it going?
Good morning, guys. How are you doing this morning?
We're doing fine, Chris. You fishing today, or what's your plan, dude?
Well, unfortunately, my customers got scared because of the weather, which I don't blame them, but I actually just got in from bait fishing, and the ocean's beautiful.
Yeah, we've been talking about that all morning, Chris. West wind, nothing to worry about.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, further down south, probably like Miami, they have to go a little further offshore, so you might have a little more bump, but here off Palm Beach County, we're within a mile of the beach catching sails and everything else, so... it was beautiful out there this morning. There was like a little swell, maybe 2-foot swell, but that was it. Nothing to worry about.
Okay, well, I got an idea, Eric. If you're sitting at home thinking, man, I want to get in on this great sail fishing, Chris, you're available for charter right now?
I am.
What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Give me a call. It's 561-767-6211. We had really, really good bite all week. We fished Tuesday, Wednesday, and caught sailfish both trips. Had 5 on Tuesday morning, and 6, I think, on Wednesday morning. It's been pretty consistent. Those are just half days, 4-hour trips. So it's been really good. Some of the guys that have been putting a little bit more time in and fishing sun up to sundown. Tournament guys, fishing 2 kites and a full crew have been catching double digits, 13, 14. I think one boat had 17 this week up here off Boynton. So sail fishing's been really, really good.
Chris, the full moon thing we talk about every time it comes out, what's your opinion about that full moon? A couple of days after the moon, fish fire up, or before or after? What's the deal?
Yeah, you know what? I've been doing this a long time, and to be honest with you, I've had days where I've gone out and I'm like, it's the night after, the day after the full moon, and I'm like, well, it's going to be a tough day, and the fish chew. So you're not going to catch them at the dock. Sometimes you just got to not worry about it and just go. I mean, obviously, sometimes it does affect them, and we do have a little bit harder. But I think in the right conditions, they can bite right after a full moon. Especially after a good front like we had yesterday.
That's right. Yeah, I say don't let the full moon or the weatherman's weather report keep you from fishing.
That's right. You can't catch them at the dock or can't catch them on the couch.
All right, Chris, hey, to fish on your boat, what's our best way to do it, buddy?
Give me a call, 561-767-6211, or go to my Facebook page or my email, LemieuxFishingCharters.com.
Chris, thank you so much. Have a great day fishing. And never listen. Tell your customers never watch the TV news weather forecast when it comes to fishing because that's usually wrong, okay?
I agree 100%.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much, Chris.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day.
You too.
You too.
10 o'clock this morning, Steve Waters. I put on my other uniform and head off to my primary job. That's selling boats at Nautical Ventures Marine at Dania Beach.
Very nice.
And I can't ever say a bad thing about work because when I go there, it's just a fun place to be. I mean, customers walk in. When they open that door, they go, wow, what is in this room, man? We have this gigantic building, right? And you walk in, it's like you're walking into a marine water toy store, right?
Yeah. That's
Kayaks,
a good way to describe it.
SUPs, the iGo cycle, that skateboard thing we got going on, jetpack, sea breacher. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Then you walk on the lot, which is, by the way, I'm not bragging, but I will. We have the most immaculate boat lot of any boat dealership in South Florida. Super clean. Boats look great. Got your Century boats out there. We got the Glasstream boats now, Steve Waters. Buddy Davis boats out there. And you can just jump on the boat, look around. Our sales guys there's never any pressure. We don't pressure our folks.
Right.
You go out there, look at the boat. If you want some help, they wave us over, and I'll be glad to talk to them. Or maybe Mark or one of our sales guys, or Scotty or Brad. We have a really good group of guys out there. And we explain to you all the features of the boat, but we primarily listen. We don't just spout off. We listen to our customers, okay? They have a question, and we answer it. We don't do the hard sell over there. So you want to buy a brand new Century, brand new Buddy Davis? We do finance, by the way, okay?
Oh, nice.
And never a dealer fee. And the Aqua Zone's behind the building. What do you do, Steve Waters?
You can try before you buy.
Try before you buy, man. So get out there. Check us out. 50 South Bride Road, Dania Beach. Of course, our North Palm Beach store is doing fantastic. Find out more about everything we've got on this website, nauticalventures.com. It's got all the boats there, new and used. All the specials we got going on, okay? nauticalventures.com will hook you up. Nautical Ventures is the go-to people for fun on the water. Coming up next, the man, he's a brave dude, Steve, Joe Hector. The kayak man. He is extreme, is he not?
We're going to find out what motivates him.
We'll find out more next. 940 wins. Miami Sports. Be right back to you.
Supposedly, Cousteau and his cronies invented the idea of putting walkie-talkies into the helmet. We made ours with a special rabbit ear on the top so we could pipe in some music.
Let's hear those fish and reels sing. Now back to more fish talk on the Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman Show, driven by Buddy Davis Boats, with Eric Brandon and Steve Waters.
As the son of a
723, welcome back to the Nautical Ventures Weekly Fisherman, driven by Buddy Davis Boats. Got with a couple of big guns on his shoulders there, Steve Waters. That'd be the one, the only Joe Macho Man Hector. This guy, I don't know. Joe, what do you lift, like 800-pound weights to get that big? Or what, dude?
Hey, guys, how's it going?
You are a beast of a man. Anyway, Joe, we're talking kayaks, man. We love talking about kayaks with you every weekend on the program. And a couple of things we talked about, we want to talk about is targeting fish on a kayak. And you go out there quite often doing this. Wahoo and sailfish, what's up with that technique?
Yeah, man, when I first started, obviously I noticed that, especially with the wahoo, most guys speed troll for them and whatnot. And I just really wanted to – they're one of my favorite fish. And so what I did was I did some research. I actually researched some of the guys in Hawaii and how they catch some of their wahoo over there. And basically, I go out, I have my live well, I got my live gogs, and I try to get the bigger end of the gogs. Like if I get to pick, if I have that chance, I'll pick the bigger ones.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go out, man, I got to check the moons. Everything's got to be almost perfect, especially for us, because if you don't go out there like 3 days before the full moon or 3 days after, I mean, it's really hard to get them. And what I'll do is I'll go out right to like 180 feet, and usually we'll have those strong currents, and I'll jig up some blackfin tuna. And what I'll do is I'll actually take my gog and I'll stuff them in the stomach of the blackfin tuna to get that scent, and I'll let them out slowly on a free line. I'll do it with a pilcher too if I don't get the gogs, and I'll let him out really slow. And man, I've done it multiple times where we get some monster wahoo dipping that scent of the blackfin tuna. And I know it sounds crazy. All you people that are listening, I know it sounds nuts, but really it really works.
It does sound nuts.
You know how it's worked. You've written a bunch of articles on it with me with the wahoo bite, how we've been catching them on the kayak. So
that's right, and then when you hook one, you get to go for a ride. I like that.
That's
part.
for sure.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. And with the sailfish, it's a little easier. We go out and obviously you want that. You want a little bit of wind. You don't want a lake in the day. And we'll go out there, and I'll just use clear leader and a circle hook. I'll put a bait on top, and I'll put a bait like medium depth. And usually I'd say if I go out 3 times, 2 times I'll get a nice sailfish on that. And it helps that with the kayak you don't have an engine, so you don't hear anything. You're kind of like stealthy out there in the water. So those fish will be like right by you. I've hooked multiple wahoo literally right as I'm letting the bait out. So.
All right. So, Joe, on these kayaks, buddy, tell us, the folks real quick, what kind of gear do you normally take on the kayak?
Well, it goes less is more when you're fishing offshore. And what I'll do is I'll take 2 rods with me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys that'll take a whole bunch. I'm not that kind of guy. I'll take 2 rods, and I'll take a 5-gallon bucket. I used to take out a 5-gallon bucket with a live aerator. Now I'll use the Hobie live well. I think those are great. Actually, now they have the new live wells that can hold more baits. You can hold up to a dozen live gogs in there now, which is great. And then I'll take, obviously all my safety gear, my PFD, my radio, my safety flag, and man, I'll take my tackle, my knives, and I'm ready to go, man.
Hey, Joe, before you go, talk about your tournament coming up and how folks are getting involved. I think it's happening very soon, right?
Yeah, next weekend we have the Sailfish Smackdown, and we're going into our 3rd year doing that event. And you can go to extremekayakfishing.com, and you can register there or get some more information on the tournament. And we actually have our kickoff party January 29th at Brews Room in Pompano Beach, and we also have a killer raffle where you can, we got everything from paddle boards. We